This is a painful and unsettling moment. It needs to be addressed openly, and it needs to be addressed honestly. The allegations against 7 Toronto police members and 1 retired member are deeply disappointing. No corner of society is immune from the reach of organized crime. But when organized crime penetrates the Toronto Police Service, the harm goes far beyond the immediate wrongdoing.
An absolute gut punch. Breaking story, Toronto Police Service, York Regional Police Service had to go arrest their own in what can only be described as a shocking dereliction of duty from the police service. Hello, everyone. I'm Adrienne Batra. With me are Lorrie Goldstein and Warren Kinsella. It is never good to hear this, Lorrie. We have at least 9 officers from 2 different police districts that have been accused of the most heinous things, loss of public trust. We are looking at potential extortion charges. We are looking at leaking names of fellow officers for potential murder, theft, staging break-ins. I mean, it is everything that is wrong with what you can think of going on in the criminality element is happening and has happened in our police services, Lorrie.
Yep, we do the standard point that none of these allegations have been proven. Many of them haven't been laid as formal charges yet, and everyone's innocent until proven guilty. Having said that, collectively, this is the worst scandal I've ever seen in Toronto since I joined the Sun in 1978, in terms of the police force. This isn't 1 officer or 2 officers being involved. This sounds like, and we'll see the details coming out, this sounds like an organized, systemic attempt to commit some of the worst crimes imaginable. For people who don't believe in the police, this is going to make them even more suspicious. For people like all of us who do believe in the police, this really shatters, I think, our confidence. I also don't understand, and I await the details, how could this have gone on for so long without the, I hate to say it, but the brass at the Toronto Police Force? How could nobody have had it? Did they have an inkling of this? Did they go to the York Police and say, look, we got this problem we can't handle? But the way this has come out, boom, all at once. And the background of it are things like the tow truck war in the GTA, and that seems to have some relationship. This is bad. It's bad because I have family in the police force. They're great people, and I'm sure they're as appalled this morning as we are. But it reflects badly on all of them. They know that, and the only thing you can hope for is a thorough investigation, that the public learns the extent of this, and that there is a trial where all the facts are revealed. I mean, that's the best we can do right now.
The take, of course, Warren, is that from the top, we were made aware of this. We did a thorough investigation. We've taken action. We know who the perpetrators are. They are being charged, and now this is going to be something that goes through the court system. But that's not good enough. And this is how long does this go back? How did this start? Why was York Region doing the investigation? Why wasn't Toronto Police doing the investigation? There's who knew what when, and we may not actually get those answers because we know what's going to happen now. Now that this is out there, now that they've gone public, it's going to be before the court system, and they will say, sorry, we can't comment on an ongoing investigation. And so the public is now left with this gaping hole of lack of trust, and also within the service. The most difficult thing today for the service itself are those men and women out there doing their job, not corrupt, not doing anything nefarious, just doing their job. And so I just really have a lot of concern with those up top managing this.
You put your finger right on it. Who was involved? What did they know? How long did they know it? What happened? Where did it happen? And why wasn't anything done about it? You know, editorially in our paper, we have been critical of the mayor who sets police policy and oversees their budget. We've been critical of Chief Demkew, who is the chief of police, the Toronto Police Service. And, you know, people like me have written that both need to go. That is even more the case this morning, because ultimately the buck stops on their desks. Those two individuals have responsibility to ensure that that these people do, like the cliche, to serve and protect, that they serve and protect the people of Toronto. And that not that there's no corruption, there can't be a scintilla, a whiff of corruption within the Toronto Police Service. And now we learn that for not just a period of weeks, for years, there has been this organized crime syndicate at the center of the police force in the largest city in Canada, one of the largest cities in the world, an organized crime effort right under their noses, and they didn't know about it, or if they did, they didn't do anything about it. So the accountability goes up on this one. And yes, as you point out, you know, we're going to know precious little. There'll be little dribs and drabs coming out of the prosecutions of these individuals, and there'll be news stories written by papers like ours. But we need to have some accountability for this extraordinary situation, because at the end of the day, your average citizen, Joe and Jane Front Porch, is sitting there looking at our paper this morning and saying, now I kind of know why I don't feel as safe now as I did, 4 years ago or 8 years ago. You know, the famous Ronald Reagan line, are you better off now? Well, that applies in this case, where your average citizen who's paying the bills is saying, well, now I think I know why crime has gotten so bad in the city of Toronto. Is because some of the people running the police force are criminals themselves. And there's got to be accountability for that. Somebody has to pay the price for that. And I know the two people that I'd start with.
No one has been behind the men and women in blue that more than us, Lorrie, at the Toronto Sun. And there is a element of society that is already suspicious of police. We had all of that unfolding in the summer of 2020 when there was and of course during the G20 summit going way back to 2010. There already is a lack of public trust. Now I think the majority still do, but there is that unease now. This puts such a significant spotlight on that. And I don't want to take away from the force, the members of the force that are out there hour after hour after hour, day by day, coming to your door to after your 911 call, and they are all doing it. This paints them all, unfortunately, with a bad brush. I think that's unfortunate, that's wrong. But in this measure, there is an angst and a consternation about, well, if these allegations that you are taking a perp in and you book them with $5,000 in their pocket, but you only see $3,000 written on the rap sheet, what's going on? You know, there's that corruption element that I don't know how they recover from that.
It's interesting because let me talk about personally for a minute. I understand the criticism of the Toronto police and their inability and the opinion of many of us, to control all these demonstrations that began in the wake of the attack of Hamas on Israel, and what many of us felt open calls. Warren's written about it. Open calls basically to kill Jews, and Jewish day schools being shot up at, and the frustration that of my community felt. On the other hand, from my community, I live in a predominantly Jewish area. The cops have been here since October 7th. They're at places where there are strong Jewish communities, a huge Jewish day school, and they've stayed. They're still here. They still obviously feel, and this is concerning, that so many years after the attack, they're worried enough to be up here. So I totally agree that most of the officers are good. Most of the officers do good things. But Warren's right. That's right now. That doesn't matter. What matters is this, what sounds like this unprecedented scandal in the police force. And the other interesting thing, and I used to talk to the Toronto Sun's lawyer about this when Ellen Chanoff years ago. This idea of using, well, everything's under investigation, we can't comment, it's nonsense. What you can't do is comment on the guilt or innocence of any individual who's involved. And what he said, what you would simply say is, look, this is not about the individual. They're going to get their day in court. But if you're asking me about what happened here and what we know about what happened here, there's all kinds of things they can explain. There's like the tow trucks thing has been going on for. You can talk about that. You've been talked about it before. So what I would say is, we in the media, don't let them do that BS thing this time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's all in the courts. We can't talk. They can say plenty, and they better.
Warren, any large institution has their proverbial bad apples. There's that. It happens in large institutions everywhere. This is different because it's the police and the protect and serve and the trust element. This makes it different and it hits differently. And I'm from now until any type of resolution. Tell us what will happen next. What's going to I know there's going to be a court process. We are now hearing that there could be up towards 30 people um, involved with potential charges. We're going to get all that information, hopefully, over the course of days, if not weeks. Um, but this appears that the tentacles have spread pretty far.
2026 is, I think, going to turn out to be the year where there's going to be a lot of talk about policing in democracy, not just because of this story this morning. If you look in the United States, there have been the terrible events, in my opinion, involving ICE in the city of Minneapolis, where I believe that they killed 2 citizens who did not need to be killed and have acted in an abominable fashion. But the thing that is noteworthy about what's happened in the United States when you compare it to here is we know about it. We know citizens are documenting it with their cell phones. Everybody's got a camera in their pocket these days. And so we know there is an oversight taking place of policing in the United States, and hopefully, ultimately, some good things and some good changes will come out of it. The shocking thing about what has happened in the city of Toronto this morning is all of these things have been happening in secret. There's been no citizens standing on the sidewalk with their cell phones documenting actual conspiracies to commit murder by police officers. So, as terrible as things are in the United States, I would say that in the city of Toronto this morning, it's actually worse. Because as you point out, I think you're right. I think there are going to be many more police officers charged, because it is impossible that just those 7 or 9 who have been charged already are the only ones who knew about this. There have to have been many more. And why are they not being called to account? So, sunshine, all of us are journalists. We know that sunshine is the best disinfectant. And when you shine a light on cockroaches, they scatter. Well, it is essential that we shine a light on what has taken place here, because all of us are paying for it, and all of us depend upon these people to protect us and to secure our communities. And it looks like they weren't doing that. They weren't caring about that. It looks like, allegedly, they were lining their pockets.
None of these allegations, of course, have been proven in court, but the fact that there are allegations in the first place is the problem. Well, let us know what you think in the comments below. Like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Then go to thetorontossun.com. You'll find commentary and coverage there you will not find anywhere else.